Hello, beloved listeners, and welcome to Sneople at the Movies, film criticism by people who actually like film. Join us as we dive into movies we love, movies we respect, and movies we wish we could unsee. From the kids who are now prepared for the apocalypse, it's Sneople at the Movies. I'm Helena.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Ezra.
Weird. I'm sorry, what was that sigh for? Hold on.
It's fall.
Welcome to spooky season. Yes,
Truly.
I have cracked open my sweater box, and have my fashion.
I mean, I'm still
takes.
wearing shorts.
Oh,
but...
to be clear, I am also still wearing shorts, but it is also sweater weather.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's both. It's that nice, in-between area where,
Yeah.
the trees are starting to turn orange and it's very pretty, but also I am definitely wearing shorts and a cardigan.
The
It's the
weather
air's
forecast
crisper.
does a fall foliage forecast, which I think is hilarious. And
Aww.
also now I have renewed my determination to go to the East Coast to make my friends go leaf peeping with me.
Let's go leaf peeping. If I can get the time off work, I'll go with you.
We're going to Maine. I'm kidnapping my friends who live in Maine and we're going leaf peeping.
There we go.
Well, I'm really excited for this month, and I think I picked a really appropriate... This is such an NPR opening to a podcast. I think we've picked a really appropriate topic for this season, and...
Sort of sounds like we're about to do a cooking show.
Yeah.
We're not. Spoilers. I
No.
hope you figured that out. That was a
Hopefully.
stupid joke.
Yeah, if we're 101 episodes in and you haven't figured out that we're not a cooking show yet, that sounds
We fucked up.
quite
No,
an
that sounds
issue.
like you. That sounds like a you problem, frankly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's...
Skill issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I was
so-
actually gonna literally say skill issue, and then I was like, we're in our 30s. I don't know if we're too old to say stuff like that.
Look, if I have to hear it, I will keep saying it.
There we go.
Exactly.
Works for me.
Well, what are we talking about? We're talking about... Maddie, this was your idea, actually. Do you want to introduce
It
the
was.
topic?
Let's go.
Yeah. I will say also briefly, we have a lot of what have we sneaked to cover.
So much sneaking.
Because we didn't do one last time to just get right into the
Fucking let the madness begin. Yeah,
The
right.
commentary?
Yeah.
Launch right into the commentary.
So we do have a lot of that to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot for this one was I wanted to do John Carpenter's Apocalypse Trilogy, which is what he calls it, which is The Thing, In the Mouth of Madness, and Prince of Darkness, which are three movies I all really love. And I was watching Prince of Darkness just for, shits and gigs, and I happened
As you
to
do.
look it up on Wikipedia to, confirm something or whatever, and I saw that he called it, that trilogy and booked them all together, and I was like, oh, that's a Sneople episode right there, and it's a, good beginning of Halloween October Sneople episode, too, so... I was like, guys, can we do that? And I got approval from the rest of the crew, so...
Yeah. I was like, again, oh, God, twist my arm. I have to
I
watch
know.
my
Ugh.
favorite John Carpenter movies. And watching The Mouth of Madness for the first time, which was very exciting for me.
So
Yeah.
thanks John for
Yeah,
making
John.
some killer movies and then also being like, yes, please talk about
Yeah.
these three specifically together because
Exactly.
they whip. Actually,
Yeah.
those are the only three John Carpenter movies I have ever seen, which I think is quite funny.
So that's the other, reason, I guess, we're doing these
Yeah.
episodes. We're talking about the John Carpenters and Ezra has
Yeah,
seen.
for once, a horror movie episode where I have actually seen all of the horror movies that we're talking about. Listeners, This is
Exactly.
probably never going to happen again.
Well, there
Never say
are worse things.
It's
there are worse movies.
as we've said multiple times on this podcast, everybody has their own comfort level with different
That's
stuff.
right.
And
That's true.
it is possible to appreciate the artistry that goes into a thing and not want to watch it.
And not have it be for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like, this is great.
There's-
Please don't make me do it.
Yep, no judgment from any part of this show about that. Or any of our friends, really. I think.
This is
I
true.
don't think anyone's really
No, I
cares.
feel like
So,
if anybody was giving me shit, I would have actually been like, "Hey, please don't. That bothers me." By now, and then they would have stopped because they're my friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
It's crazy
I-
what being an adult is like. I love it.
yeah, I know. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
So I guess let's get into what we see first and probably just tear through it as fast as we can, because there's a lot on both Helena and I's lists. Boy, I watched a ton of stuff. I watched a ton of, like, TV for once. So I'll start there. I watched True Detective Season 1. Just fucking tore through that in a couple of days. I watched The Haunting of Hill House, finally, because I grew up and was so brave, and I watched a ghost show all by myself.
I'm very proud of you.
I rewatched the And Then There Were None miniseries, always very good. And I watched Midnight Mass, which I actually watched before I watched Haunting of Hill House, and I was like, well, I could just watch Midnight Mass again, but I feel like watching it after, like, rewatching after I've just seen it is like, I should go back and watch the other stuff first, so I did that, and Blind Manor's next on the list. We'll get there when we get there. I saw the second half of the extended edition of Fellowship of the Ring because it was somebody's birthday party, and Leigh and I arrived to the party late, but I feel like it didn't matter because I've seen that movie so much anyway that it's like I know the first half very well. It's alright. Rewatched Willow for the first time in a very long time. I watched Saw's 4 through 7 all in one day, which was not a great idea, but by God, I made it through. Rewatched Mad Max 2 and Mad Max Fury Road. Saw Night of the Living Dead for the first time, which, wow, that movie is really fucking good.
Yeah.
So glad I finally watched it. Rewatched Reanimator, watched Van Helsing, obviously. Helena and I watched Bride of Reanimator together, which is a discussion I would love to have at another point. Obviously watched Prince of Darkness, watched The Omega Man, finally watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is another where it's like, boy, I don't know if I need to watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it for the first time. Watched In the Mouth of Madness again, obviously. Finally watched Little Shop of Horrors, watched Fear Street 1994, and then watched The Thing with commentary, specifically.
Yeah, you did.
That sounds really fun, and I really want to watch it with commentary.
It's great. It's John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, which they both have very, like, mellow voices. It was very fun.
It feels very much like two guys just laying back having a beer, and then like, so this part here, like they're just buddies.
Nice,
which is so great.
That's
you can tell that
a
it's
little bit more.
Yeah, it's very chill. I was putting it on in the background while I worked, because I was just like, I just want something to audio. I've watched The Thing so many times that, like, I don't watch stuff with commentary very often, so I was like, but I've seen The Thing so much, and I'm rewatching it again with a friend soon, who hasn't seen it before, so I'm like, this time I'll just do it with commentary so I can get kind of a refresher for this episode, but still get kind of the additional parts, and it was really fun. And it was cool to hear them talk about also, like, the special effects and, like, why they decided to do certain things, and I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Whew! So that's what I did.
Nice.
Nice. A whole mess.
Sure.
Yes.
I saw Passages, the new Ira Sachs movie, at the IFC theater. Very gay, great. I came home. I also caught like the last like 2/3 of Tootsie one night when I came home that my roommate was watching.
Fun.
Similar to what happened with you and Lord of the Rings. And then it was like 11:30, and she was like, "Have you ever seen The Birdcage?" And I was like, "No, I've never, but I've always meant to see The Birdcage." And so we watched The Birdcage, and it's like
the French one or the English language one.
The English language one.
Okay. Yeah. Have you seen? At some point, you should also watch the original French one.
I haven't told.
There was an original French.
Yes,
La Cage aux Folles.
but La Cage aux Folles.
Yeah.
But I love The Birdcage so fucking much. Anyway,
Birdcage is so good.
That's it. I like couldn't
absolutely fucking iconic. About like 30 great performances in it.
Yeah,
I really need to see it.
Such a me movie.
We can do that.
I rewatched Curse of the Black Pearl because we were watching it with I'm joining a new RPG game, and so we were watching it because there's some inspiration from the game.
Ooh.
Oh,
this.
cool.
Yes, but like
tell us more about that at some point, possibly not on this podcast.
Will. Well, it's based off Kingdom Hearts, which I know absolutely nothing about, so it's gonna be very fun for me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we were like group texting during it, and my group texting was like
a
broken.
Parts of the Caribbean section in Kingdom Hearts. Did you know
yes,
that?
I did know this, but this is not.
Okay.
I don't think that's what he meant. Our DM.
Okay.
But it's possible that'll come in. But it was a really frustrating watch for me because like I couldn't text people because my group texting was busted. And so I wasn't able to like really fully give myself to the movie, even though I've seen it 30 million times. So about literally a week later, maybe a week and a half, I was like, I need to watch it again by myself. I really didn't feel like I got it out of my system. So I watched it again. So I've watched Parts of the Caribbean twice in the past month. The first one was worth it. Well, and also like I had COVID that I just recovered from last week, and I had it for 2 weeks. So I watched the entirety of the Interview with the Vampire TV show as something that I did. So great. It's very, very special. I watched Nimona, which was really cute. Really, really fun animation. I rewatched Midnight Mass because Matty was like, I'm gonna watch Midnight Mass for the first time, and I was like, fuck, I guess I gotta rewatch Midnight Mass, and I cried a lot. I watched Sunshine for the first time, which was really enjoyable. I watched Ghost, which is crazy. Can't believe that movie got nominated for Best Original Screenplay. That's fucking whack. And I mean, won Best Original Screenplay, actually. I watched They Cloned Tyrone, which is on Netflix, and you should watch it. It's a new movie with John Boyega. That's a really fun science fiction horror.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Sick.
More
Yeah,
science
that sounds
fiction
good.
than horror. But it's really enjoyable. And kind of got lost in the new movie shuffle and didn't get a theatrical release. So, but it's fun. People should watch it. I also watched Rye Lane, which is another new movie I watched on Hulu that came out this year. Also, really delightful romantic comedy. I actually did double feature with that and Bridget Jones' Diary, which turned out to be a better double feature than I could have imagined because Colin Firth is a cameo in Rye Lane that I wasn't expecting. Hugh Grant is a comedic genius. He is... Anyway, I can't talk about that because we'll be here forever. Watched Van Helsing for the commentary. Watched Bride of Reanimator with Matty, which is again a conversation that cannot be confined to this single paragraph. And immediately after, I rewatched Matilda because I've been feeling it, and that was actually better than I remembered it being, which was a very delightful feeling to have.
My double feature was Bride of Reanimator and Prince of Darkness, actually. So
that's very good. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, fucking Matilda. I mean, Matilda is pretty scary. It's like in some if you're like 7, and it's got them spooky fall vibes a little bit. I'm gonna skip over this part really briefly. I was microdosing Army of the Dead, the Zack Snyder movie, which got me interested because of a stupid rare pair that somebody was talking about, and indeed, I did enjoy it very much. Even though some of you were saying that he's... Anyway, I can't talk about this. It's stupid. It's not a good movie, but I had a good time. I watched The Thing, also with commentary, which I'll talk about more in the podcast. I watched The Mouth of Madness for the first time. I today just finished microdosing Parts of the Caribbean at World's End, which was my 300th review on Letterboxd and my finest work to date, where I talk about how hot Bill Nye is as an octopus man.
Voice of a generation, clearly.
Yeah, stuff that needs to be said, needs to be jotted down. But most importantly, the day after I tested negative for COVID for the first time, I bought tickets like several weeks ago to see Lawrence of Arabia in 70mm at the Paris Theater. And I was really, really scared that I wasn't going to be able to go see it. But I tested negative like literally the day before. And I went straight from work. I got off at 6 p.m., went to the 7 p.m. showing of Lawrence of Arabia, got out of the theater at like 11:15 because this is the restored, 2012 version that's like 3 hours and 40 minutes long.
Movie is so fucking long.
It's so fucking long. Oh my god, I can't stop thinking about it. It's made me an insane person. And we need to have, Ezra and I need to have a little section where we can talk about this more as like a Patreon exclusive or something, because I'm glad not being able to talk about it.
I think the thing is I need to see it so we can do an episode about it.
Yes. This is also true. What I will say is that I've never known what a beautiful man looked like before I saw this movie on the big screen.
It's like... This is like I don't even know. It's like a level of like peak human beauty that's like hard to describe
from both of them.
You're
it's
just
like, what is going on? They're both
like,
very talented, and I don't mean what I'm about to say in a way of like it took me out of the story, but there was like moments where I was like, what are these fashion models doing on this battlefield in the desert right now? Because Omar Sharif is just standing there, and I'm like, look at him!
Yeah,
look at him!
You're like,
what?
This is like, this man is just impossibly good looking.
It's really, really terrible. And what's crazy is like, and then reading all the stuff after that, where David Lean was like, oh yes, we saw Lawrence's homosexuality as being essential to the story, and we were getting away with as much as we possibly could in 1962, and we thought we were being very daring at the time, and I was like, yeah, no shit. I don't know what you were doing. I don't know how much Peter O'Toole knew about that, but it certainly seemed to me that he knew what he was doing.
I think he knew what he was doing. Like, I'm gonna be real with you, I think he knew what was going on.
There's a couple, I can't get too much into it, and I'll stop soon, but there's a couple of parts, watching this with like a very enthusiastic audience who was laughing at a lot of stuff, but there's a moment where he gets back, in the second half of the movie where he's like, I'm gonna try and be British again. And he, like, goes back to the British consulate. He, like, literally, like, basically, like, sachets up to them. And he's like, hey, guys, like, what's going on? They're just like, oh, my God. Girl. Pass better. I can't.
No.
It was, like, it's crazy what's happening in that movie. And I never heard anything about that part of the movie before when, like, people were talking about, I mean, except from you, obviously.
Okay, I was like, listeners, the face that I'm making in Helena is like...
You're like, I'm worried that I failed you on an educational level. No, I'm talking about, like, you know, greatest movies of all time, etc., etc. People were never just like, oh yeah, this is one of David Lean's many love stories that he created for the film. Anyway, bye. Anyway... So yeah, that movie made me insane. Yeah, no, stop. I hate it. I can't look at directly at this.
So listeners, this was me. I still haven't put my wall art up. I have a framed print of fan art of one of the most homoerotic and also upsetting moments in Lawrence of Arabia that I have hanging most of the time literally right next to my bed.
I'm gonna...
So that's why Helena made that noise. Anyway.
I've lost my mind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I saw that movie when I was, like, in high school, probably?
That'll do it to you.
So in case anybody wanted to, like, add something to the list of reasons that I am the way that I am, there you go.
There you go. Anyway, that's the only thing I've seen other stuff. That's the only thing I've been able to think about in the past 2 weeks. And it didn't help that I got out of the theater at 11:15. I didn't get home until 12:30, and my phone was dying. And I was literally just, like, I couldn't, like, talk to anybody about the movie for an hour and a half, and it was just stewing in my brain the entire subway ride. And that's the way that I've been for the past 2 weeks. Anyway, let's please talk about something else. I'm gonna, like, just throw myself off a building.
So talking about homoerotic shit, I also watched a couple of Supernatural episodes, including
oh, that's right!
On the anniversary of both the pilot and Lazarus Rising, I watched those. Specifically, Helen and I watched Lazarus Rising together. You ever grip a dude tight and raise him from perdition?
You ever kind of have a normal interaction with another man?
I feel like I can't even call it the last great American queerbait anymore. Like, I used to call it the last great American queerbait, and I don't know that it actually is.
Because
what would be its replacement?
No, I mean, I don't know that I can call it queerbait. Exactly. Queerbait. It was like 99% of it was queerbaiting, and then the end of it was like, takes it like just slightly into question for me.
Interesting.
It's still queerbaiting. It's the last great American queerbait.
I can't think of anything else that comes.
There's not because there's never been anything else like it.
They came close.
It's just,
no,
we were watching that episode, and I was like, I mean,
No.
I said this a lot that night that we watched Lazarus Rising and Bride of Reanimator one right after each other, and it's just like, Matty can
what
attest
a
to this.
double feature.
Yeah, that's
Oh my god!
I love
was
you
saying,
guys.
oh my god, be normal. Be normal.
No.
Guys, be normal.
Hey,
That's
man.
normal interaction.
No.
You ever build an ideal girlfriend for your roommate out of dead body parts using the heart of his fiance that you've been holding on to this whole time?
Mm. Mhm.
Anyway,
Be normal.
Yeah, just guys being dudes, right?
literally found this interview, which I sent to Helena from the director or the creator of.
Who was
Hold
the
on.
director?
Yeah. That's basically like, okay, hold on, let me find. So Dan, one of the guys, is straight. Herbert West is the, like, when you think of Reanimator, he's the crazy scientist who's, like, doing weird shit to bodies.
That's him.
Let's see, my understanding of a queer is that it implies coitus, which, like, be normal, dude. The physical act of love. Some part of Herbert still pines for a soulmate, a friend, a colleague, an intimate, and Dan satisfies that need for West.
Does he now?
Yeah, but then he was like, also, Herbert West isn't interested in sex because for him science is sex.
Okay.
And I was like, that's really funny.
I'm
And
like,
I
that's-
get
that's
that.
perfect,
I,
yeah.
don't disagree. But also, like, you need to understand that being queer doesn't necessarily always imply sex.
I'm like,
But
no,
that, yeah.
I'm like that just is making your. I'm like, buddy, you're making it sound like that disproves your point. It does not. Talk
It
to
does
David
not.
Cronenberg.
Because the entire thing, the only thing that Herbert West does in these movies is science. That's like all he does. And sometimes specifically he does science at Dan. He like goes science and like does like science surgery to him. And he's basically what he's doing is he's trying to seduce Dan with the power of his science. He literally is doing that in that scene in The Bride of Reanimator, that first one where he makes the cute little like finger eyeball creature. He's like, look, I made this for you. That's him trying to have sex with Dan in Herbert's brain, because that's how his fucked up mind works.
He has done, like, all of
Congratulations to them.
his science, like, on his own, and then he moves into Dan's basement, and he's like, Dan, listen to me, but what if you did my science that I've been doing essentially on my own, except for, like, with my, like, father figure, like, with me? And there's a cutscene where it's Meg, his fiance, and Herbert, and they're, like, essentially fighting over him. And, like, Herbert keeps cutting in, like, standing in between Dan and Meg, and, like, cutting in between them, and eventually Meg is like, I can't do this, I have to leave, because Dan, like, won't look at her and keeps turning to West, and is, like,
blocking
focusing
of
on
that
him
scene
instead, is insane. It's
Maddie
on my
sent
DVD.
this scene. Yeah, Maddie sent this scene to me on Tumblr,
I'll
and
send
the
it to
blocking
you,
of this
Z.
scene
Yeah.
and the way
Thank
that it's
you.
shot is insane, because it starts with her talking to Dan, and it's a medium close-up shot of the two of them, which is usually how you film, like, two,
Sure.
like, partners, usually like romantic partners having a conversation, and then Dan comes in from around the corner and he just stands in the middle. Herbert's, sorry, and like not physically in the middle of them, but like in the middle of the frame, like watching this argument, and Meg keeps trying to, Barbara Crampton keeps trying to stand in front of him so that his face is blocked, like blocking from the camera, and he keeps moving around so that he's like still in the camera and in the periphery until eventually he replaces her in the medium close-up shot, talking to Dan in the same exact way that Meg and him were talking. I'm sorry to be a nerd about it, but it was like...
It's
like,
some
why did they
crazy
cut
shit.
this? It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I love
This is one of those things
Shakespeare's
where, like-
Othello. Oh, I didn't realize that was going to
You're,
land like
not
that.
wrong, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
But after we watched Bride of Reanimator, I was like, because you were like, can I watch Reanimator? And Helen and I were like, I think it's just so gory that I don't know if it would be comfortable for you. Like,
That's fair.
I just don't think that you would enjoy it. But good news, there's a book.
Oh, okay.
There's a novelization.
You know what? Yeah, maybe I'll get
it
in
took
on
me
that.
2 seconds to find on the internet, so I'll send
It
you
did.
the novelization.
It took you like 2 seconds. Maddie was like, I wonder if the novelization of it gets on Tumblr. Oh, I found it.
Yeah, so I'll send you the novelization, and I'll send you that scene, because it's not gory at all, it's just the conversation of, like, my dad's gonna kick you out of the school, and he's like, I need to talk to West. Then West shows up, and he's like, excellent. Poof, I'm gonna talk to West. Anyway, this is not what this fucking episode is about. But
No,
we need to do a Reanimator episode.
This is apparently a Reanimator episode.
Oh boy. Anywho.
Anyway.
Hi, all horror is inherently queer. Change my mind.
Yep. Speaking of which.
Speaking of which. No, I definitely did watch things. This is gonna be really fast. Also, I can talk about some of them some other time if people want. I finally watched Sorcerer. I cannot fucking believe they didn't kill anyone making that movie. Also sorry to my mom who noped out of it, and my dad who started to fall asleep, but I kept waking him up to be like, no, it's gonna get good. I watched Four Weddings and a Funeral, which I thought I had seen like all the way through, but it turns out I had only ever seen it cut up for television, and cried, as one does. I saw Van Helsing, obviously. I've been rewatching Gravity Falls with my roommates, which is one of the most tightly plotted shows ever written, and it's just like it's just incredibly fucking good. And really is fun to rewatch because there's some insanely well done foreshadowing all throughout that show. That works great.
Yeah.
I watched Time Bandits, which everyone should watch Time Bandits. It's very silly and cute. I had yet another funny experience of going, this like random actor I've never seen before from like the mid 80s is hot. Looks him up. Oh, it's because he's Jewish. This happens to me all the time.
Really be like that.
I have a type. And I went to go see the new Haunting in Venice movie with my parents, which I can talk about more at a later date, but I enjoyed thoroughly. I thought it was better than Death on the Nile, which I liked.
God.
Unfortunately,
Bar is low. But
the bar is low. I liked that movie.
I had a good time.
I had a good time with that movie. There were some casting decisions that were bad, and there were some casting decisions. Look, I hate Armie Hammer. I just don't like him as an actor. Gal Gadot can't act. But everyone else in that movie was doing a great job. I liked a lot of it. This movie was better. I had a very good time.
It looked creepy.
It is. It had a couple, I mean, I have a low tolerance for, like, I am jump scared easily. I have now been jump scared by a Kenneth Branagh movie that's, like, not, fucking dead again. So, thanks, man. No, really, really, very enjoyable, very,
rock on. I'm excited to see
very atmospheric, highly recommend. Yeah, liked it a lot.
I forgot to mention, I don't know if I've said this
Michelle
on previous...
Yeoh is a fucking genius.
Michelle Yeoh, oh my god.
She's so fucking
the cast
good.
he pulls for these things.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's just like, I'm like, okay, I don't know if you can, like, if you just, like, negotiate really good, like, funding deals, or people just really like working with that guy, but man, he can pull some serious fucking casts.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
Before we get into it, have I mentioned that I've been watching, and I'm sadly almost done with Gallivant? TV-wise.
You've mentioned
it previously, but I don't know if you mentioned how close you are to the end. So
okay, I forgot. Well, that's another thing. I'm very sad. I
watched like the first season of that, but I haven't and that was like when it came out, so I barely remember like anything.
It's enjoyable. I'm very sad that it's probably not at this point coming back. Hey, everyone is doing reboots left and right. And I'm like, but what if we
continued shows that were whatever
got canceled before their time? Anyway,
I want season 4 of Hannibal real bad. I will die and be eaten on this hill.
Apparently
Anyway.
they're doing a season 4 of True Detective, a show that has not had like massive media coverage since season 1. But
well, it's
I'm
like
excited to
a
watch the other
anthology
seasons.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a different
ones.
set of detectives every time. And hold on, I'm gonna double check this. But
it's season 4, really?
season 4, yeah.
Wow. I didn't know there was a season 3.
Yeah, because it has some fucking actors in it. Sorry, I'm specifically Mahershala Ali.
Oh, in season 3? Was that in season? Because there was. Oh my god. Okay, I'm confusing it with season 2. Because that was with Colin Farrell
Mahershala
and
Ali. I said his name wrong. Apologies.
Colin Farrell and Mahershala Ali were in the same season together, right?
I don't.
This is not important, I guess, but
I don't
I'm
think
confusing
so.
myself.
But I don't know. Apparently, the detectives in season 4 are both going to be women, which is neat.
Yeah, it's Jodie Foster and somebody else.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Yeah. I would,
Very
at some
sad.
point I'll talk about True Detective more. I thought there were some parts that, for me, were, like, really difficult to watch. And there were and also, like, several opinions about Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. And also, but I was like, in the end, I'm like, I'm glad I watched that. That was, like, a really interesting piece of television. And, like, you could tell that it was filmed. It was like an HBO show in 2012 or whatever, because, oh my god, so many titties.
Oh, I know. All
You're
over
like,
the
oh
place.
baby, that's early HBO. You know how that is.
I mean, not complaining, of course, from an aesthetic point of view, but also just like, wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was to the point where I was like, this is unnecessary, but also this is very much HBO in this era. Was just like sex scenes and tits at least every episode. Anyway, but let's not get into True Detective. Let's get into the plot of this fucking episode, which is the Apocalypse Trilogy by John Carpenter. It was interesting because when I put on the thing, one of the first things John Carpenter said was like, yeah, this is the first in my Apocalypse Trilogy, and I was like, oh, wow! I wasn't expecting that. I figured he must have said that, like, in an interview somewhere or something, but he's like, nope, right off the start, talking about it.
Can I just say, I really loved, one thing that I really loved about listening to that commentary was the way that he was constantly like, so I had this scene and like, you all showed up on that day, all of your lines memorized, and I had no fucking idea how to shoot this scene. Or like this scene, like, I had no idea how to shoot this scene. I had no idea how to get you all in the frame.
Yeah, the blood scene, I remember, was the main one he talked about, which is like one of the most iconic scenes of that movie. It's like so difficult to watch, and it's like so intense. And, like, so well done. And it's funny that he's like, yeah, they all show, you know. And there's, like, what? There's, at least, like, 7 dudes in that scene or something.
There's, like...
There's a fucking lot going on.
There's at least... I'm trying to remember the order.
Maybe 6.
At least 6 or 7 guys, plus the 2 guys who are dead also, who've been killed at that point.
Yeah, I don't know if they're in that room at the time. Though, oh no, you're right.
They're like
there's the 2 dudes who are dead that are on the table. They're only in the.
Yeah.
They have like 1 shot to themselves, so presumably they're on a soundstage somewhere. I mean, I guess they're all probably on a soundstage for that scene because you don't see the outside really, but still, like a lot of dudes in that scene.
A lot of dudes.
And very funny that they all showed up, and it was like, all right, we're ready to go, boss. And he was like, fuck.
It was just like, really humbling because he was like, I think at one point he said, it was when that one guy like ran to the hallway with the axe, and he was like, yeah, I didn't know how to get all of you guys in the frame because they were all like crowding around this little hallway, and he said something like, movies look really easy to make, but they're actually really difficult. And I was like, that's so true. I'm so glad that, like, you're saying that. I I mean, he has had a reputation about, like, playing it down a little bit and calling himself a bit of a bullshitter, which I know that, like, a lot of people consider themselves like that. But it was really nice to hear him talk about that in a kind of way where it's like, yeah, fuck it. We were just wanted to make a movie, and I really wanted to make... I think he said the blood testing scene specifically, he was like, this is why I wanted to make this movie. I really wanted to do it. And so, like,
yeah,
everything else is just, like, figuring out how do we get to this point and
how do we
plot it.
Yeah. He also said that I didn't realize, but he was like, this is my first movie I made with a major studio. Everything else was, like, indie stuff. And it was, like, really interesting to be able to, like, get, like, what you get from working with a major movie studio is, like, worth the other parts that, like, are frustrating or whatever. The, like, because, you know, and Kurt Russell was like, yeah, I mean, that's why you make movies, is the stuff you, like, get out of, like, making a movie, the process of making a movie. And I had that moment where I was like, fuck, man, I want to make movies, which is not something I've said on this show very often, if maybe ever. And it's something I was talking about. I didn't say on, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show. I stream every Tuesday with producer Bren, who is our friend. And we talked briefly about the writer's strike, which, like, they got basically everything they wanted. Fucking finally, thank God. And he was like, yeah, I'm really glad, you know, they got it. I don't ever want to be a screenwriter or whatever. And in my head, I was like, I do though, or I want to direct really or something. Like, I was like, maybe, like, I want that, so, like, good for them, because, like, I want to do that. And so, like, hearing them talk about the process of, like, making the movie itself, and, like, you know, like I said, like, Kurt Russell being like, this is what you get from making a movie, this is, like, the benefit of that, was really cool. Also, talking about all the, like, statues and, like, special effects, was really neat. That big, puppet at the end, that's Blair, turned into the dog, apparently he was like, yeah, there were 50 people, which may be an exaggeration, but clearly a lot of people, like, manipulating that thing, like, under the ground or whatever. And I'm like, God, there was so many, like, so many special effects and tech, like, practical stuff. He was talking about, I forget the name of the guy who was building all their, like, statues or whatever. We're just bringing him in, and it was like, here, I made this, and it was just, like, the nastiest stuff you've ever seen.
I love that they said that when they go to visit the Arctic base, and they find the guy who killed himself, and it's, like, frozen, and so he's got, like, they had to do something weird effects for that. And he was saying, like, he showed up with this, and we were like, I don't know, dude. I don't think this is gonna work. And he's like,
I don't know if this is gonna, like, shoot right or whatever, look right. And then you look at it on screen, and it's the way that the blood has, like, it's so cold that the blood froze instantly coming out of his body is like, it's gross. I remember Z watching the thing with you, and it was one of those movies where it was like, that was one of the first things where we were like, this is really gory, but I could, like, handle it.
Yeah. That is that is by far the goriest movie I've ever successfully sat through. Like,
do you think it was because it was practical, or, like, why do you think that is?
That's I've thought about that a lot. Part of it is that, part of it is that I know that it is practical effects, so I could put part of my brain on appreciate the artistry that went into making this, like, track, instead of now freak the fuck out track.
Yeah.
I also think
really
that,
fair.
Like, there are a handful of things for me that are like, if I can convince my brain that there is like an easy way for me to avoid ending up in this scenario, it's a lot easier for me to deal with, which is why I like horror movies that take place in space. Because I am unlikely to ever go to space. As much fun as that would be
in Antarctica,
I am never going to get to go end up in Antarctica on a research base again. As cool as it would be, the place that I work has, like, sometimes somebody has to go work in, like, an auxiliary location in the same building. It's really isolated. You get to play your own music, but it's kind of a bastard. I put a little sign on the door that says McMurdo Antarctic Research Station Annex. And I am thinking about getting a little German Shepherd figurine and hiding it in there and seeing how long it takes someone to find it and get the joke, which no one who works with me will, which is tragic.
Bummer.
But I can do it anyway, just because I think it's funny. Yeah, I think also I like science fiction horror. I deal better with science fiction horror than I do with kind of other kinds of horror. Again, I'm not really sure why, but, like, I fucking hate shit like, one time I got trapped at a party where everybody decided to watch It Follows, and, like, I hadn't driven. I, like, had to wait for somebody who was, like, my ride home, and I was just fucking miserable. Because that movie is disgusting, and I hated it. It was awful. It's also, like, wildly fucking racist, which is, like, a separate consideration. I was like, not It Follows. Drag Me to Hell. It's the one. Yeah, sorry. Yes. I was thinking about. I've never seen It Follows. No, sorry. I don't know why I mixed those two up. Drag Me to Hell, which is just like the fucking premise of which is like wildly racist.
Very racist.
And just was like, I was just like sitting in the back going like, this is gross and awful and gross and awful and gross and awful. And I don't know. I there are certain kinds of things which was like, also like The Thing is gross. Right? I mean, like, there's that movie is real fucking gross. But it's gross in a way that is, like, ultimately, like, nobody's, like, turning into, like, it's not, like, a heightened version of things that can actually happen to you. It's not like, oh, you are decaying, your body is decaying while you are still alive, a thing that will happen to your body after you are dead if you are buried. It's like...
Yeah, my chest cavity is never gonna open and have teeth and bite somebody's arm off.
No, like, and it's a fucking alien. Like, or even before you're sure what it is, there's something about it that it's like, it goes in a different, like, speculative fiction category in my head, where it reads as a thought experiment rather than a, like... something that I need to actually be worried about happening to me, I guess. Which
I think would apply to all three of these movies, is the idea is that, like...
Also, honestly, they're incredible, like, they're suspenseful in a way that, like, there's a lot of horror movies which are intended to be suspenseful are... not suspenseful for me in a way where I want to know what happens next. They're suspenseful for me in a way where I want to turn it off and make it stop happening. And these ones are, I'm like, okay, yeah, but, like, I'm on board. And, like, yeah, I don't know. I've thought a lot about why this works for me and doesn't when so many other things don't.
Well, there's also, I wonder, because for me, too, with all three of those, I feel like there's a sense of fun is maybe a hard way to put it, but I don't know. I was thinking about the commentary for The Thing too, and like listening to these guys watch this scene, and there's the famous scene where like the guy's chest cavity opens and his arms get cut off, and that whole sequence when his head comes up, and the whole time they were like, "Oh, here we go, here we go."
No, you know what part
and
of it is?
And when the head falls, yeah, go ahead.
It's not punitive. The horrible things that happen to people in John Carpenter horror movies, in these three movies anyway, are not the result of them doing something wrong or being bad people. They are not being punished for anything. They are stuck because it's cosmic horror. They are stuck in a situation that is fundamentally alien. And they have to deal with it as best they can. And if they make, like, you're never going like, oh, you're making the obviously wrong decision. There are no obviously right decisions in any of this. You just have to react to shit that is, like, fundamentally, like, inexplicable and incomprehensible to you. Therefore, it's not something I have to worry about, because if it happens, I'm sort of just fucked anyway, I guess.
Yeah. And with...
Yeah.
And... with
I don't
Prince
like
of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness, it's one of those things where it's like time is a flat circle, like this will always happen, this
Yeah.
has always happened, there's
This is-
no
Mhm.
getting out of it. It is just kind of like...
Yeah, and like just because somebody pulled the thread of the sweater, someone was always going to pull that thread. It is a foregone conclusion that this was always coming for you. There's an inexorability to it.
Yeah.
That I find really like interesting without being like off-putting. I think it's partly that I just don't like movies that are about like supernatural punishment for perceived wrongdoing or violation of norms. That's just not a form of horror that I enjoy, I guess.
Yeah. This is a punishment for your sins. Like the slasher tropes of like, you know, teens fucking around and therefore they get killed or whatever.
Yeah, that just doesn't... I find that off-putting in some way that I don't find, like, because, like, I love Alien.
Yeah.
Alien
I
is
love Alien.
a slasher.
Alien is
Alien is
technically a slasher, but
But-
also, none of those people did anything wrong. Like,
No.
they're just
trapped.
stuck there. They're just trapped there. And with this
Yeah.
with this thing that's, like, that is at odds with them, but it almost doesn't actually have... It's not actually even particularly malicious. It's just alien, and its needs are incompatible with the needs of the human. Which
they talk about...
Oh, cool.
Sorry, please.
No, I for whatever reason, the idea of, like, the horror where the thing, whatever it is like, it's not doing this, it doesn't care about you. Like, that angle of, like, this thing is gonna do what it's gonna do. Unfortunately, what it's gonna do is incompatible with you remaining alive.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, it's like a nothing personnel, kid.
Yeah.
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 In the,
that's kind of... sorry.
In the Thing commentary, they actually talk about that with The Thing. Is like, they do it talk about it in the blood testing scene where it's like, because Kurt Russell talks about, his character Mac talks about, like, all it wants to do is survive. And they're like, and this is what, you know, if we went to a planet where it was all plants, we had to eat the plants to survive, like, when they think about us, like, we think about The Thing, you know? Where it's just like, all it wants to do is survive, and it has nothing to do about us, it just needs to continue to live. And that continue to live happens to be something that results in all of humanity being taken over within, it's like 27,000 hours. Something absurd.
Well, and you think about, like, the opening of the movie, too. It's like, okay, theoretically, I would never be in this situation, but if I was at an Arctic base and I saw a bunch of dudes in a helicopter shooting at a dog, I absolutely would react in the way that they do, in the way that Richard Mazur's character is, which is like, stop shooting at the dog. Get the dog at the station. What the hell is wrong with you guys? And the helicopter blows up, and it's like, well, I guess that's the end of that. Like, there's some of them act less rationally than others at certain points because they start to lose their tether a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's no point where I'm like, or become the thing. There's no point where I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense why you would do that.
Yeah, I think that's that all of these movies adhere very strictly to they let the actors adhere very strictly to this is how this person would react to this situation. Exactly. They are never contrived.
Yeah. I love that about Prince of Darkness, which I think did a really good job of having quite a big ensemble
that is
of characters.
That is the single scariest movie I've ever sat through. I love it, and I was so fucking scared the whole time we were watching it.
But you're able to kind of keep, like, I couldn't tell you all of these characters' names off the top of my head, but
no, me neither.
You were able to keep track of them very distinctly based on what they do and, like, how they react to certain situations, and there's no point where I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I've known this character for like 20 minutes, and I'm still like, that makes sense what that character is doing and how they're acting.
Yeah. I'm able to track exactly. The actors do a great job, and they talk about this in The Thing too, where, like, everybody is like really putting the work into making you understand this character, and they do that in Prince of Darkness too, where they make it the actors are putting in a lot of work to make it clear like exactly who this person is. You get what they're doing and why they do it, even if you like you don't know anything about their backgrounds, you don't know anything about them. You know that they're like a fucking radiologist or whatever, or the gal who like does translating or whatever the shit. Like, you know what they do, and you know exactly like why they do the stuff they do. And the acting in all of these movies is some great
really,
work. Sorry. With a brief thought of In the Mouth of Madness, Sam Niell, my beloved, who I have a massive crush on, in the first half of the movie when he does that awful like. He's doing New York, but with like New Zealand, like underneath.
He's
and it
trying
slipping
so
through,
hard, and it's not
like,
working very well.
It just sounded to me like he was being a Kiwi the whole time, and I was like, I maybe tried
fully?
in one scene. No, there are some points where he was like holding it together.
Yeah, but there's some points where he's like, never, through chips in a driver.
Yeah. It's like, where?
I know you could do, I just watched, like, that we're done. I know you could do accents, man.
Yeah. For whatever reason, that one was just not happening.
And, like, to be fair, like, this movie takes place earlier than some of the other stuff I've seen him in, so maybe that was just, like, he figured it out later, and whatever. And I think in the second half of the movie, we get to the point where, like, even if he's not holding it together, it no longer becomes obvious enough to be distracting. But in the first half of the movie, you're like...
It is quite distinctive.
Yeah. I mean, I was prepared for it, maybe, because you told me about it. So
because I said
maybe
something
it was
about
less of an impact. I was just like, this is just normal Sam Niell being Sam Niell.
This is just Sam Niell being Sam Niell.
So this is a very good bridge, though, to In the Mouth of Madness, because talk about a character who I think is like, that's a really interesting character to plop into something like this, because he's perhaps, I mean, he's kind of like Mac in The Thing in a way where it's like, this is an extremely rational character. And it's not like in Prince of Darkness, where I think that you have the two wisest characters in Prince of Darkness are still accepting that the thing is happening around them, but they're coming from different viewpoints. One's coming from a scientific viewpoint, one's coming from a religious viewpoint. Sam Niell is dealing with a situation where he's like, this is not happening. This is not real. This is all bullshit. You're fucking with me.
This is reality.
And I'm just like shaking him, being like, you are in a John Carpenter movie.
Yeah, but on the other point, and like, obviously, if you haven't figured out by now, there's just gonna be spoilers for fucking everything, but I'm just gonna spoil the end of this fucking movie. But he's such a, like, pulp horror novel protagonist, right?
Yes.
Which is what he's been the whole time, and what he will always be, is he's a fucking freelance insurance investigator, which is the stupidest job I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I love white collar.
Job to always be the guy who believes in reality, and he has to deliver the manuscript. He always has to be there, because he can't ever want to read the novel.
Yeah.
He can't ever want to look at it, because once he does, he gets lost. So he has to be the guy that believes in reality and believes that this is real, because the second there's a temptation to look at it is when it all falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
and it's like, he is the guy in, like, every Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
Like, that is what his role is, and it's so... The end of the movie, when I first watched it with Ben, I, like, just lost my shit, where he's sitting there alone in that movie theater with a bucket of popcorn, which is hilarious, watching the movie we just watched, and just, like, laughing to himself, because there's just nothing left.
Yeah.
Like, how long can you hold on to the tethers of reality before you realize that, like, whatever is real is not what you thought it was?
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd. It's crazy. It is such a fucking ending. It's
that movie is so fucking good.
It's insane.
I'm thinking now about what you just said about how economical the characterization is in all of these movies. That's such a John Carpenter thing, though. Like, I mean, think about Assault on Precinct 13. You know, fucking nothing about any of those people. And
it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter, because you know exactly who they are. You know exactly, they all... Everybody is so clearly drawn and has such, like, a strong sense of who their character is and why they behave the way that they behave, that you need very little establishing information Instead, you just go, okay, this is your cast of characters. Everybody has their shit on lock. Now it's time to make everything go bug nuts.
Yeah. It's essential screenwriting. This is not an episode about The Godfather, but I always use The Godfather as an example.
Fair.
Because I have to. But
you and every film professor, it's fine, just roll with it.
I'm coming in. But this is like the opening sequence in The Godfather, like the first like 20 to 30 minutes of the first Godfather movie, which is the wedding scene. And I love watching that scene every single time because this is in the same example, like you learn everything that you need to know about every single character in that movie in that scene. Not necessarily like you learn their whole, it's not about backstory, it's not about lore, we don't need any of that shit. Like, that will come up if it's important, but that's not really what's actually essential to writing a screenplay for a movie. It's like, who are these people? What motivates them? Why are they here? Like, what do they want? And it's so very clear what all of those characters want in that opening scene, that when the rest of the movie plays out, you're never thinking to yourself, if you're good at watching movies and you've been paying attention anyway, which is not necessarily a given, you're never like, oh, that doesn't make any sense why he would do that. And you never see any change because there was never any, like, starting place to go from. And it's the same with these things too, exactly, with Prince of Darkness. Some of them have more, like, characterization than the others, but, like, whenever you meet them, you're like, okay, I know exactly who you are.
Yeah. All of the performances are so confident.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah.
I want to watch Prince of Darkness again.
Yeah.
I just rewatched it.
I should inflict Prince of Darkness on my roommates. There's that. Yeah. Okay, you know what it is? The
bug scene.
The bug scene. Which is truly, honest to God, one of the coolest things I have ever seen anyone do on film. Ever.
So good.
Like, okay, which, listeners, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I don't know why you're still listening to this podcast. Come back. We'll still be here. If you have watched it, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that. Also, I remember seeing that and thinking obscurely, I bet Neil Gaiman loves this movie. Not because of any specific thing I can think of, but there's something where that image where the guy turns into bugs and then it's the suit is still there for a brief minute, but it's so messed up.
And you're like, oh, Coraline, yes, I read that when I was 8.
You're like, nice.
Yeah, and if he hasn't seen it, I'm happy to show it to him. I'll just show it at his house.
Hey, Neil Gaiman, like, do you? Yeah, well, I'll bring snacks. Let's watch Prince of Darkness,
and we'll see how that influences Good Omens season 3.
little sprinkling of Eldritch horror onto Good Omens season 3.
Yeah, I could use it.
Good Omens season 2, a thing that I may eventually get around to watching.
Certainly won't hurt it. Yeah, I mean, so what I was saying earlier is, like, again, the moment, like, when the head sprouts legs and crawls away on the floor. And during this point in the commentary, Kurt Russell and John Carpenter were just, like, laughing to themselves. They were having so much fun. And they both said that their favorite, they're like, oh, here comes my favorite line in the movie, which is when that one character turns around and sees the head walking away and is like, gotta be fucking kidding me. And they're like, that's my favorite line in the movie.
And Kurt Russell, breaks out laughing.
Yeah.
Like, he just is, like, cackling to himself. And then John just keeps talking like they didn't even see anything. Like, he's just kind of, like, very casually, but Kurt Russell is just, like, laughing to himself. It's so funny. It's so funny. There's multiple points where the two of them just break out laughing at, like, whatever is happening on the screen.
Well, during the blood test scene, there were, like, there's a couple moments. The moment that really got me, that made me laugh, was they're talking about how the movie was received and everybody, how people, because it was a flop when it came out, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought there were, like, they criticized him for having no hope in the movie or like, it being very bleak or whatever.
Yeah.
John Carpenter was like,
Get
sure.
over it.
And he was like, yeah, well, somebody called me, I think because of this scene in particular, they called me a pornographer of violence. And then he just goes, Just like laughs to himself. And I think like also he was like making fun of them for being like, this is the scene that got them. Like this blood testing scene was too much for the test audiences, and he was making fun of them. Like they could sit through like all the special effects. But when it come to like drawing the blood for this blood testing scene,
it was the needles, it was the like cutting the he was like, the stuff that got people was like the needles, the cutting the fingers, like that kind of like medical gore shit, which is like, to be fair, there's a lot of people who like are really sensitive to that kind of thing. I know multiple people who are like really freaked out by needles specifically. But like in comparison to so much of the other shit that happens in that movie, it's just very, very funny that is like
okay,
it's really just like that's what put you over the edge. All right,
sure, whatever. He also talks about early in the commentary, he says that like when it came out, like that it was like for that era, it was like very like, oh my god, this like horror movie, blah. And he's like, and now it's just basically like an action movie with a monster. And I'm like, what are you talking about, John? It is still very much a horror movie. Like, there are plenty of people who still cannot watch this movie, sir. But I guess I appreciate the idea that, like, audiences have become less sensitive to this kind of thing, which is not true.
I mean,
I guess it depends. But,
it does, but, I mean, maybe, I don't know.
They're about to release Saw 10, so, like, what do I know, right?
Exactly. I mean, we're in a different era. We're in a very, very different post-hostile, quote-unquote, like French extremist, like, new wave, like, sadistic horror.
But I feel like that's a whole other, like, genre of film.
It is.
Right? Like, that's a whole other section for a whole other group of people.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, more, like, mainstream horror stuff is still, like, that kind of, like, audiences still react to, like, things like The Thing, I think, in a very similar way. You know? Yeah. Whereas, like, films like the Evil Dead remakes, or, like, Saw, or Hostel, or whatever, like, people are becoming, it's like, they can keep putting out stuff that is gorier and gorier, and that is easier for people who are into that kind of stuff to watch, as opposed to, like, you know, like, I would not consider The Thing to be in the same category as that other stuff.
No. I mean, broadly, it's horror, but, like, it's just a completely different beast.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Cannot, like, the...
There's a psychological horror element to all of these movies that is inherent, because they are, you know, like...
all of them have the terror element of being trapped in a situation, physically or even mentally, that you cannot get out of.
Yeah.
Physically, for all of them, actually. For even in The Mouth of Madness, it's the town.
Yeah, you are stuck somewhere that you cannot get out of, with a thing that you cannot escape, you cannot argue with, you cannot you can't understand it, you can't bargain with it, you can't... It's that there's something that is... there, you can't compromise with it, you know,
and it is affecting everybody around you.
And it's slowly, like, there. It's also like the one of the big things that it does is erode the solidarity between characters. Like, I think that's something that's really interesting to me, where it, like, all three of these movies have that element of, like, one of the scariest things that the monster does is it destroys the trust that characters have with, like, amongst each other, in a way that's more interesting to me than the idea of just, like, oh, but one of us could secretly be the killer. Fine, not nearly as interesting to me as whatever the fuck is going on in these movies.
Yeah. That the people around you will lose their humanity.
Yeah.
Which is, rather than someone making a choice, it is the loss of control. Something is being taken from you.
It's not, there's not, like, a secret malice that you have to, it's not a mystery that you solve. Because ultimately, even if you figure it out, figuring it out means identifying the thing that is inexplicable.
Yeah.
which is why I like cosmic horror more than I like other types of horror. I am not going to call it Lovecraftian, but I am obliged to make the "it's your boy HP back at it again with the fish people" joke.
It's definitely in the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely, I think, kind of what is being touched on there. Anyway,
we can say it was a great delight to see Jürgen Prochnow in the Mouth of Madness as the Stephen King XB character, previously who I'd only ever seen in Das Boot, and of course David Lynch's Dune as Paul's dad. Das Boot, which I watched in college on Netflix. Another delightfully long
Helena, I'm so
movie.
glad that you and I are friends. I've seen clips from Das Boot, but I've never actually
Good
sat down and
movie.
watched all of Das Boot.
I would love to rewatch it again.
My dad, I think he likes that movie. I should make my
It's
dad
such
watch
a
Das
dad
Boot with
movie.
me.
This is just me. I'm just a dad in like a not dad's body necessarily.
No, whether or not I ever end up having children, I am in fact a dad in training.
Sneople is a podcast for like people who are both dads and millennials all at the same time.
Yeah. It's true.
This was back in like the early 2010s when Netflix actually had movies made before 1989 in their catalog. So this is where I watched that, and Das Boot is the most random movie that you will not find on Netflix now, I don't think. And Once Upon a Time in the West I watched on Netflix. It's crazy. But yeah, he's a great actor with a great face.
So
and
good.
he
What a
was
fucking
very, very,
face.
very creepy here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The fucking effects in all of these movies, I feel like just are like, they are so.
The part in The Mouth of Madness that it impacted me a lot the first time, and that I've always liked, is when the author, I don't remember both. I know we were just talking about the actor.
Sutter Kane.
Yes, there we go. Sutter Kane, like, pulls open, like, his chest, and it turns into book pages, and it opens up into, like, the endless void, and you see, Sam Niell's character, like, looking into it, and on the other side is, like, words from the book that he's stuck in, as the editor gal is behind him, like, reading out loud what he's doing as he's doing it. That effect of it, like, ripping open into that is just so sexy. It's so good.
Desperate to know how they made that happen. Like,
yeah.
I want that. I want commentary for that movie real bad.
I want to listen to the commentary on Prince of Darkness also.
Yeah, me too.
I need to find a version that has it, because the DVD that I found for real cheap at Music Millennium does not have commentary on it. Does not have any very nice little features. But it's a very bare bones DVD, so I'm not surprised.
Me sending a fan letter to John Carpenter that just says, "Please explain
Excuse
in
me,
loving
sir.
fucking detail how you made that shot happen." Like, I love this movie.
There is a version. I was just, while we were talking earlier, I was just on DVD Beaver, which is the site that has a horrible name, but I go to for DVD information. Where he has, like, all the comparisons.
No, you know what? I'm going there and I'm bookmarking it. I need that in my life.
It's not my fault that's what it's called, but they're very thorough. There is it looks like this is actually only in France, which is weird. There's a Studio Canal version that has commentary on it. I think what I want is the Shout Factory Blu-ray, which has John Carpenter's commentary and an interview and an interview with the special visual effects supervisor.
Yeah,
and the score.
That's what I want.
And a bunch of stuff. So the Shout Factory Blu-ray is what I want for Prince of Darkness. What I have is the Universal Pictures DVD from fucking I don't know when, that is serviceable.
Sure.
It's from 2003, so it's like not like a special edition by any means. So it's not quite up to what I want.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I'm just obsessed with that effect in Prince of Darkness, of course, with the mirror, obviously, which I've talked about before on
that
here.
too.
of how they shot, which I kind of know a little bit about. Obviously, they used Mercury for that. But especially the last shot of her falling backwards through the, like, being pulled through on the other side of the mirror, just, like, so fucking good. And it's like, if I was just to, I don't want to do that because, like, why pit so many queens against each other? But if I was to pick like one shot in Prince of Darkness that exemplifies why I love this movie so much, it's that shot. And I just want to know, like, about, you know, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Agreed. There's so many, there's so many great, like, interesting effects in all three of these movies. When I first pitched this episode, I was like, this is the Apocalypse Trilogy, and obviously ideas that all of them are about an apocalypse of some kind, or in the thing, the beginning of an apocalypse that may or may not happen, and hopefully is not. It's the beginning, right? Whereas the other two are about, like, either, like, or occurring, it's kind of like a beginning and middle, where it's... But anyway, and I was like, but they're still all so different. And I realized as we're talking about it that it is, the thing is like, the apocalypse is always caused by that, like, there is something at the head of it, something that is in control, that is removing control from everybody else. And there's nothing you can do about it, and you are alone, kind of standing alone in the center, watching everyone around you get kind of ripped apart. Which is like, yeah, if I had to think of, like, what is my worst idea of an apocalypse, that would be one of them, for sure. Similar to, like, a zombie movie, actually, which, like, I watched Night of the Living Dead. I watched Omega Man on recommendation from my dad, who was like, it's kind of a zombie movie, but not really, but it's that similar kind of concept where everybody gets sick. Makes them something else. Where it's that idea that, like, you are, especially in Omega Man, there's like a beginning, like, 20 minutes to half an hour, when it's like, you can tell for the past 3 years, he's literally just been alone. To the point where he's talking to statues and stuff. And it's just like, what does that do to you, to be by yourself, waiting on nothing? Like, what is coming to help you? Much like in The Thing, what's coming to help them? Nothing. Their radio's busted. Blair broke it because he knew that he didn't want the thing to escape. And it's just the two of them staring at each other, knowing that they're either gonna freeze to death, or one of them is the Thing and is gonna kill the other one and is gonna run off. Like, ugh! Like, that's awful! That's awful!
Yeah.
And it's the same with In the Mouth of Madness, too. And Prince of Darkness is a little different, because that's kind of the, like, really the edges of, like, there may be an apocalypse coming, because the idea is, it kind of is like, yeah, they defeat it, right?
That, they kind of prolong it, at least, it seems.
Yeah, but he has that videotape dream of, like, in 1999, there's something, and that, like, cuts off. And so you never get to know, like, but what's coming? What's the end? Like, or was that the end? Is there something else coming? What is it? That's also horrifying too, that, like, the unknowing part. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I did post a little bit.
That's very good.
I was looking at screen cap comparisons for these DVDs now, because I'm like, what you got for me? And I just want the Blu-ray so fucking bad.
Oh yeah, I freely admit I just got sidetracked looking for the Blu-ray of Phantom of the Paradise.
Fair.
A movie that I also adore. This is dangerous. Yeah. Ugh. God, the lighting in this movie is so
so great. You gotta love green in a horror movie.
Yeah, me too. All three.
That's why I love Reanimator.
Now I'm just thinking about, like, all three of these movies have such a good sense of place.
Because that's so essential, right? Because they're trapped there.
They all feel to me like they're very distinctive, but they also have the kind of layout of places you encounter in a dream, where I'm like, this has such a strong vibe, and if I tried to map it, it would not make any fucking sense. Which is great, because it's disorienting. Yeah.
Sorry, someone made a map of Silent Hill once from all the games and, like, put it together, and they were like, this is fucking not, like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Which on one level is like, hey, can you, like, make your games good? But on the other level, it makes sense, because the Silent Hill isn't supposed to make sense. It's supposed to be, like, your worst fucking nightmare. But, yes. Anyway, yeah, all of them have that idea of, like, they're all clearly, like, physical places, but also...
They are rendered like it's like the sort of like slightly non-Euclidean geometry thing, like that it which increases that feeling of trapped.
Right.
There's so many little, like, there's so many tricks to enhance the, like, tension in these movies that are you kind of don't even, like, you don't notice that they're happening, but they're just like ratcheting the bolts a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter. Yeah. The end of the end of Prince of Darkness is going to be just like live rent free in my brain until I die.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
nuts.
Like the like I'm thinking of, I don't know if I have like a full thought here. It's the religious religious horror aspect where like this is the Brotherhood of Dreams. There's been one guy here this whole time forever that, like, they don't even talk to the Vatican about, and, like, has been having this dream repeatedly, like, basically the whole time they're there, and then they pass that on to somebody else, who then has that dream repeatedly forever. And that is, like, from their perspective, that's, like, this is the duty that God has given me, is to, like, receive this prophecy that we will never understand. Is like, man, that shit's crazy. It's like the end of The Exorcist, kind of, in a... Hold on. I want to make sure. We've all seen The Exorcist, yeah?
I'm not going to watch The Exorcist.
You're not going to watch The Exorcist. Okay, so I'll just say, the end of The Exorcist, where it's like, my duty to God is, like, I will die for it if I have to, like, save this girl, and also because, like, that is my job, that is what I am bound to. And like very specifically, like, because I have to save her, and I have to, like, stop this thing from getting out and doing something to me. As someone who is, like, not really religious, I find it very, like, interesting as a concept, and to see it executed well, because there are plenty of times you're like, this isn't fucking anything. But to see it executed well is interesting. Especially in Prince of Darkness, which priest with a fire axe. Fuck yes.
So good.
So good. Yeah, I could go on about this forever, but I do know that we need to wrap up soon. So do we have any kind of, like, final important thoughts to throw down before we head out for tonight?
Not really. I love Carpenter so much as a filmmaker, and I really love hearing his thoughts about filmmaking and everything that went into it. So I'm really excited to kind of, like, find ways to, like, listen to more of this commentary and find more of his thoughts about all of this stuff, because I love his approach to horror. There's a reason why he's the, at the horror master on Twitter. Even when he's doing something different, like doing the slasher, like in Halloween, like, he has such a distinctive approach that I think is really special and influential, and I really like talking about him. So hopefully,
and he makes bangers.
Nothing but bangers.
Truly, yeah. When I decide I like somebody's storytelling sensibilities, I will watch basically fucking anything they make, because I like the way they're gonna tell the story. Subject matter is, may or may not be of particular interest to me. And, let's just say I never expected John Carpenter to be on that list. But, like, known slasher, like, please don't. I'm like, I think I should try watching Halloween, though. Watch this space, I may regret that. We'll see.
Once again, this is like, if we get, a few minutes in and you're like, never mind, I can't do this, that is always like, we'll turn it off and move on to something else. But
fair.
If you want to watch Halloween, I'm always in for that. I love it.
Not to dissuade you or anything. The music is great. I will say that I'm a big slasher fan. Yeah. Obviously, like, Black Christmas is one of my favorite movies of all time. But like, Halloween, and which I liked it, by the way. But Halloween was one of those movies where I was like, I am really spooked. Because I don't normally walk away from a movie where I'm like, I feel uncomfortable. Halloween was definitely one of those movies where the first time I saw it, I was like,
maybe.
But since then, I mean, but I love it so much as a movie still, by the way, that like beyond that I like revisiting it. And the score is just incredible. I once like around Halloween time I was this is my last thought on this before we go, but like we used to have a kids section that was separate from the upstairs at the bookstore where I used to work, and we could play our music on Spotify. And at one point it was like October and I was just playing the Halloween theme on Spotify down in the kids section by myself, and I was like, maybe not. It's like when there's nobody else in the store, you're just kind of like volume down a little bit, maybe, because people are like walking into that and they're like, what's happening? But it's so good. And he did the score for In the Mouth of Madness too, right?
He does the score for most of his movies.
Most of his
stuff,
yeah.
He did it for... Did he do it for The Thing too? He does.
No, it was Ennio Morricone.
That's right.
Well,
he does his own scores fairly often. When I say he makes bangers, I mean his music.
Yeah,
like they all slap. Yeah, John Carpenter was like, one of the two scariest things you can imagine, being trapped alone with something that wants to either eat you or become you, and also a big guy that you don't see coming. And I'm like, you're right. Those are the two scariest things I can imagine.
It's extremely correct, and he's like, you know what will make both of these things worse? Fucked up synthesizers.
Yeah, some crazy synth shit. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, brother.
Well, it's like, you know, when you're a kid, and even now as an adult, when I'm sleeping and I see, like, you look over and you can't see anything properly, especially when you're, like, you know, visually challenged, like myself, and you're like, that's a shape over in my closet. Sure looks like something. I mean, there's a reason why Michael Myers is referred to in the original Halloween movie in the credits as just the shape, right? It's just like, that's what he is. It's just like, oh yeah, you're right, he's that shape in your room that you think you don't see, but it's not really there, but it is.
Yeah, where you're like, it's fine, this is just my brain's pattern recognition telling me that there might be a predator over there that wants to eat my, oh god!
Oh my god, yeah, it's fine.
And there's a reason that they were going to make the Halloween movies about a bunch of different stuff and then just decide to just go back to Michael Myers. It's because he's Michael Myers. He's scary. He's scary.
He's scary.
He's scary. All right.
Well, it's time for us to wrap up.
I really missed an opportunity to record this episode wearing my Music by John Carpenter hat.
You did.
Oh, rip.
This is not a visual medium, but you know.
Oh well. But we know it exists.
Funny. We do.
Yep.
I get so many compliments on that. People when people know, they're like, oh, and I'm like, indeed.
I'm excited to talk more about all the movies that we're going to watch this month, because it's my favorite month of the year. And I love all the movies that I'm going to watch during this month.
I'm excited
I'm doing my little dance.
I'm excited. My coworker turned to me and she was like, all right, don't think about it. What's your, like, number one Halloween movie? And I took a deep breath and said, regretfully, Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow.
HBO keeps being like, under scary movies, Sleepy Hollow, and I was like,
it's not.
Really?
I mean,
okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It wigged me out when I was in middle school, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tim Burton.
But
so,
a horror movie?
No, not really.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's just, like, not a scary horror movie. I mean, like, there's, like, David Cronenberg movies that are horror, but they're not, like, scary. They're just, like, gross.
All right.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
The
Crimes
Fly.
of the Future. The Fly, I mean, The Fly can be scary. But the Crimes of the Future is, like, spooky. Is, like, just gross. It's technically a horror movie. Yeah, Videodrome.
I'm never watching Videodrome.
Anyway,
I'm not doing it.
This is a whole...
I'm watching it this October.
I'm so excited for you. I don't know.
It was fun to watch the one time. I don't think I need to see it again. But, much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Anyway, so...
Love that movie.
Let's
wrap up. Let's get you guys out of here and get myself out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Sneople at the Movies from the Infinity Break Network. Check out infinitybreak.net for more awesome content, and come chat with us on the Infinity Break Discord. You can find it at bit.ly/I T Talks. You can also shoot us an email at sneopleatthemovies@gmail.com. If you've got a subject you want to hear us talk about, a movie you think we absolutely need to see, or your pick for a video game you'd like to play with John Carpenter while you're high, come say hello. Our Oscar-worthy music was done by Johnny Ronaldo, who you can find at Johnny Ronaldo on Twitter, and our glorious Technicolor logo was designed by Bethany Luthold. You can check her out at bethanyluthold.wixsite.com. If you enjoyed listening, please leave us a review on iTunes and share the show with your friends, your enemies, and your partners in crime. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.